soon when the weather break, let's have the open house. Let's have the cookout. Let's have the back to school. Let's have the parent orientation. Let's get ready for next fall, brothers and sisters. Donate. Make sure everybody in your family donate. And you should be ashamed of yourself. Ashamed of yourself if you have never donated to the FDMG Academy. There is no excuse for why you have never made a donation to the most revolutionary, innovative, comprehensive, and necessary institution for our boys in this century. You must donate, and you cannot donate once. You must donate over and over and over and over again. Do we have another question on the call this morning? If we don't have any more questions about the children, I will now allow general questions about whatever, conscious community, me, politics, economics, whatever you want to ask. The lines is open, 857-232-0158. Of course, we're still accepting questions about the children. That is our priority. But if you have regular questions, 857-232-0158. And the access code is 870-864-pound. Let me see if I got any text questions.
Question.
Go right ahead. Where you calling from, Queen?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles, California. Go right ahead.
Hi, sir. I have a question. I have a nephew and a niece, and they are 9 years old and 12 years old. My nephew is 12 years old. My niece is 9 years old. They have been living with their mother and their father, and the father has, for the last year, decided to transition to becoming a woman.
Okay, the father is in the process of transitioning, you said? Transgender. The father is in the process of becoming a woman.
Yes.
Yes.
The children are acting out. The son won't have anything to do with his dad. He's getting him in trouble. He's fighting every single day at school, picking fights with other children. My niece is just withdrawn completely. I've taken the children and I spent a lot of time with them so that the parents can work out whatever issue, just to give them a respite, like a break. But when I see the decline from the happy-go-lucky children that they used to be to the children that they are now, it's very concerning. And I'm really worried about them, and I don't know what to do. The grades, wow. They used to be good students in karate. Now their grades are suffering, both of them. They're straight-F students now, and school just started.
Wow. That's tough. So we have the children of a transgendered woman, a man who's in the process of becoming a transgendered woman, and the children are having an understandably unhealthy reaction to this. Wow, this is tough. And it's tough on so many levels, because on one level, they still need their father. And I don't know if he will still be called a father or a mother once he's done the process. I don't know how, will they still call him dad, or do they got to call him mom, which means they will have two moms?
He's telling them to call them Maddie, which is mom and daddy mix.
Maddie. So they have to call him Maddie because he's their mom and dad. Oh, Lord have mercy.
The son is having he's having more of a problem than the daughter. But I'm not to say that the daughter's feelings aren't as valid. It's just that she's withdrawn and he's acting out physically, like beating up other children, fighting every day, cursing out the teachers.
Question: What is the biological mother saying about this? What is their position? The mother, the biological mother.
She feels betrayed. She feels as though her marriage is over. She's depressed. She sleeps a lot. And that's one of the reasons why I take the children, because she was blindsided by this about a year ago.
Who has custody?
Well, they live in a house with both parents. Both parents are married.
So if the parents are married, wait a minute. If the parents are married and the mother doesn't agree with the father becoming a woman, why is she still there? Like, I'm lost. So she's going to, not to get off topic, but how does that dynamic change the nature of the marriage? Because your husband is going to become a woman like you. So what happens then? I'm lost.
I think the husband still wants to be in the marriage, in the relationship. I don't know if she's thinking that this is a phase he's trying to work out. I have no idea. But he's transitioning outwardly, meaning clothing, as he's transitioning, I want to say biologically, because he's taking hormones and his physical appearance is changing.
And he's taking the hormones. Woo! I feel sorry for the children, but there's absolutely nothing we can do about it. Unless the mother decides that this is too unhealthy for my children, that I'm going to seek separation, even if not divorce, and I'm going to get a court order that the children can come with me, because until this process has been until this process has been completed and he has completed his transition from manhood to womanhood, the transition period is too traumatizing for the children to be there with him to experience it. That is an argument that the mother can put forth to family court. But as long as she's willing to stay there, there's nothing we can do about the children. Nothing at all.
I'm not sure if she has the financial means to leave. And plus, we're in California, and it's extremely liberal towards the LGBT community.
Exactly.
I don't know if the court would agree.
The court may not. That's the only hope. The court may not. On a lesser level of intervention, on a lesser level, it would be good for the parents to get those children some counseling to help them process this experience in their life, because this is traumatizing. So separate from the fact of what's traumatizing them, they're being traumatized. So I'm hoping that both parents care enough about those children to just get them some counseling. Let them talk to somebody about how they feel in a safe environment where they may not be criticized and judged, because they obviously can't do that at home. We can still get them some general counseling to deal with this traumatizing event in their life. They at least should go to some counseling to help them deal with this.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
And I'm going to pray for them children, because this is, woo! I can't wait till we get the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy up, because if I had my school up, I would say send them to Wilmington, Delaware. We'll take care of them. Get them out of there. Send them to Delaware. Let's save those babies. But one day we'll be there. One day we'll be there. Thanks for that question, Queen. Is there another question on the call today? (857-232-0158) is the number. 857-232-0158. 857-232-0158, and the access code is 870-864-pound. This is Dr. Umar Johnson live in Nashville, Tennessee for the 4th annual Soul Day, spelled S-O-L-E, at East Park, 12 until 5. The Prince of Pan-Africanism takes the stage at 2. I do have some t-shirts and some books. First come, first serve, $20 a pop. Make sure y'all donate to the school. No more Cash App. No more Cash App. You have to mail a check or money order payable to FDMG Academy, P.O. Box 9634, Wilmington, Delaware 19809. We will begin shooting for the shockumentary again this month. Philadelphia, New Jersey, and New York. If you live in Philadelphia, New Jersey, or New York, Philadelphia, New Jersey, or New York, and you have a testimonial for the shockumentary, America's War Against Black Boys, and you are willing to tell your son's story, your story as an educator, counselor, school nurse, probation officer, police officer, juvenile hall personnel, text me 215-989-9858, 215-989-9858, so you can be put on the interview list for the shockumentary documentary. This will be the documentary to rule them all. Okay. I need y'all to mute your phone. Somebody's talking on the line. Please mute the phone, Queen. Mute your phones. Please mute your phone. I'm going to go to the questions on my phone. I have a question from Chicago. Shout out to Chi-Town. If the pharmaceutical market isn't to be supported, what ways of treatment do you recommend we practice as a society? Well, that answer is very simple, because as African people, Any treatment for us must treat the whole person. So we don't believe in treating the mind separate from the body. We don't treat the body separate from the mind. And we don't treat the mind or the body separate from the soul. So we embrace an African holistic treatment of our people. We don't separate body parts out. That's not what we do as African people, because what affects one aspect of your being affects all aspects of your being. And we have a profound belief as African people that whenever there is an imbalance in the soul, an imbalance in the body, there's an imbalance in the soul. And whenever there's an imbalance in the soul, there's an imbalance in the body. So we believe in treating the whole body. We don't believe in pharmaceuticals. As African people, we do not embrace the use of pharmaceuticals to deal with psycho-spiritual problems. I have another question, live from Wilmington, Delaware. Dr. Umar, I live in Wilmington and I teach leadership and development and empowerment through community building in Wilmington. How can I help you with the young men in your school? This is a wonderful and much needed school that you are bringing to our city. Thank you, family. First you can do is email me your resume. Anyone who wants to work at the school should send me a resume. FDMGresumes@gmail.com. FDMGresumes@gmail.com. Second, you can invite me out to be a guest presenter at one of your leadership development and empowerment seminars. I would love to do that. So just hit me up. But send me that resume. That goes for everybody interested in working at the school. Send your resumes to fdmgresumes@gmail.com. Next question. Are HBCUs considered white institutions? Well, that depends on how you define them. I would not consider HBCUs white institutions, not all of them, because many of them were founded by black folks. But a lot of HBCUs were founded by the states where they exist. So a HBCU that was founded by the state where it exists technically is a white school. It's white funded. It was started by whites and it's controlled by whites. But then you have HBCUs that were founded by black people. Okay, so those I would not consider white institutions. However, HBCUs, in my humble opinion, are too dependent on white money for their survival. They are way too dependent on white money for their survival. And because of that, I would fearfully but reservedly say that in the next couple years, they may be all considered white institutions. For example, Howard University, which is generally considered the mecca of HBCUs, is at risk of no longer being a predominantly African-American institution. Howard University has the largest percentage of non-African-American students and is in jeopardy of no longer being an HBCU if the current trend continues. But Howard University was founded by the government, funded by the government. We can go to Bluefield State University in Bluefield, West Virginia. That is no longer an HBCU. Bluefield State has been colonized by the European, and it is now a predominantly white institution. It is no longer an HBCU. Okay? So that's the answer. Next question. I operate a private school in Tampa. Are you familiar with an African-centered K-12 social studies curriculum? There are a couple of African-centered K-12 curriculums that are out there. Tampa, Florida, your private school. Do you have a building for me in Tampa? I need a venue in Tampa. I need a Kwanzaa lecture venue in Tampa. Any ideas? But yes, get in contact with me, Tampa, Florida. I'm going to give you a couple names of some brothers and sisters you can look up for your K-12 social studies curriculum. Next question. Chicago. How do you work things out with a bitter baby mama? Speaking from a man on experience which a woman refuses a child to still see her dad. Speak on the family dysfunction that displays. I don't think I need to say much. I think we all know that there's a lot of bitter women out there who will keep your child from you if it's the only way they can make you suffer for not being with them. Okay? I've been through it. Okay, other men have been through it, and all we can do is urge other black women to speak up, not for the man, but speak up for the children's right to have a relationship with their daddy. Too many women are denying men access to their children for bitter personal reasons. And they are affecting the healthy psychosocial development of their sons and daughters for personal reasons. And so all we can do is ask black women to stand up, and we can ask our elders to stand up and help bring an end to the trauma that is caused by baby mama. I'm going to call it baby mama trauma. And I define baby mama trauma as the trauma created by selfish black women. Some black women, not all, because most of our sisters are not like that, but selfish black women who will deny children access to their father. I call that baby mama trauma. And we have to do something about baby mama trauma because it is a very big problem. Okay? Next question. Can we get tickets to the door in Nashville today? Today's event is free and it is outdoor. So there are no tickets and there are no doors. I repeat, today's event here in Nashville is free and it is outdoors. So you don't need any tickets and there are no doors. We will be in East Park, 12 to 5. Prince of Pan-Africanism will take the stage at 2 o'clock. Next cell phone question is, how can I become one of your co-wives? I'm going to skip that one for now. Okay. How many people are you expecting for your event in Tampa? 300. Next question. Dr. Umar, why do white people value the life of animals more than the life of African Americans? Because they hate us. That's the answer. And they hate you for 3 reasons. They hate you because of your historical accomplishments. They hate you because of your intellectual, spiritual potential. And they hate you because of your genetic predominance over all other human families, meaning that the black man can reproduce himself with any other woman. The black woman can reproduce herself with any other man. Nobody can reproduce themselves in the African. If you want to get rid of Africans, you got to kill them because you cannot reproduce us out of existence. We have always been and we shall always be until the supreme ruler of the universe decides that the time has come to get rid of us. And when the creator gets rid of Africans, the creator will also get rid of the universe, because there's no universe without the African. We are the original man. We are the original woman of the universe. We are the chosen people. That's why they hate you. Until you get to know yourself, you won't stop hating yourself either. We have to take the European consciousness out of the African psyche. We have to take the European consciousness out of the African psyche. And the only way we can do that is through independent, African-centered, revolutionary, Marcus Garvey type Pan-African liberation, education, and socialization. That's the only solution. I'm not interested in anything if it ain't Garvey. If you're not talking Marcus Garvey, I don't want to hear from you. Okay? I am serious about this. This is Pan-Africanism or it is perish. It is unify or die. It is Africa or extermination. Any other questions on the call this morning? How can we donate to your personal work? Your Cash App is not working. If you want to donate to my personal work, you have to do so through PayPal. PayPal.me/Umar the Psychologist. PayPal. Let me go ahead and type it in. PayPal.me/Umar the Psychologist.
Dr. Umar, may I be heard?
Yes, ma'am. Where you calling from, Queen?
Hey, I'm calling from Covington, Georgia.
Go right ahead.
Well, I have a 15-year-old son. He's in the 10th grade. Well, my question is, I'll ask the question first, but I'll give you a little good background about him. My question is, first of all, he hates school. School started early this month, and he's been suspended between in-school suspension and out-of-school suspension, primarily for, skipping class, being late to class. He did get into a fight this month as well. But there's a background about him. He was diagnosed with ADHD back when he was in elementary school. And I did try the medication route at that time,
but I didn't, continue on with it. I just, was skeptical about it. So, I guess going to like middle school, he always had the, behavioral attention problems, in class, not doing the schoolwork, just cutting them up, things like that.
Where's his biological father?
He's deceased. He died.
How long ago?
I would say it's been two years, maybe going on 2 years now.
So number one, we have not to cut you off. Number one, we have a possible issue with grief. We have a possible issue with grief, my queen. Your son may still be grieving the loss of his father. He needs grief counseling. He needs grief counseling. We need to get him a grief counselor. That's number one. Remember, depression in children looks like anger. Depression in boys presents like anger. So one of the things we have to do is get your son some counseling. I'm pretty sure that the loss of his father has something to do with this. Is there another male who has stepped in to fill that void due to the father's loss? Does he have another man?
Yes. Well, to answer back to your statement, he is in counseling at this point. Well, it's not more or less for the grief, but it's for his behavior.
But if they don't address the grief, the grief is contributing to the behavior, though. So they need to address that within that counseling. See, all behavior has a function. Yours, mine, the plants, your son's, all living things, behavior, have a purpose. Now, if your son was young, I would have said the purpose of his behavior is probably to get attention that he's not getting. But he's a teenager. With teenagers, the purpose of the behavior is normally due to some sort of unresolved emotional or psychological issue. How well do the two of you get along?
Not so great at this point. He is on some medication right now.
For what? Medication for what?
For that's pretty much for the behavior, for DrP.O.P.A.
What is the medication?
I'm not sure. DrP.O.P.A. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. DrP.O.P.A.
I'm very familiar with it. DrP.O.P.A. is an antipsychotic. It's an antipsychotic. Why is your son taking an antipsychotic medicine at 15 years old?
Well, there was a lot of anger, violence going on in the home. I have an older son. He's 18 now. But for the past couple years, he's been very, I guess you would say, kind of violent. He's pulled out knives on his brother. He put holes in the walls, just breaking things around the home. A lot of violent outbursts that just got out of control. And it got, like I said, it got to a point where, him and his brother get into it a lot, and he's put out knives and put them to stab him. So at that point, I had to call the police. And it got so bad, so basically he ended up getting charged with aggravated assault, and so they put him into this probation program, which kind of really didn't help out as much. But then he ended up getting another charge between him and his brother. They got into it again.
Let me give you this. Let me give you this. How long has he been with the current therapist? How long has he been with the current therapist?
Well, this therapist is, I guess, for about a month.
For about a month?
With this therapist.
And how many different therapists has he had since his father died?
I would say maybe 2.
Maybe about 2. Here's the thing you need to keep in mind. If your son is with the therapist and his behavior not getting better, his emotional control ain't getting better, you need a new therapist. A therapist is not somebody you get and you keep them forever. If you're not seeing changes, okay, a year, I would give him a year. Okay, it does take a little bit of time. 6 to 9 months is more like it for me, but you could give a therapist a year. But if you're not seeing any results from a therapist after a year, it's time to get a new therapist. But here's the side. First of all, DrP.O.P.A is given to people who have seizures, epileptic patients, people with seizures and migraines. They're given DrP.O.P.A. They also give it for bipolar disorder, which is manic depression. People who go from a real high state of mental activity and then they crash into a depression. That's why they give out DrP.O.P.A. It is a very powerful drug. This is a drug to stop seizures. Your son at 15 should not be taking this medication. Here's some of the side effects: nausea, vomiting, drowsiness, dizziness, weakness, abdominal pain, stomach upset, rash, diarrhea, increased appetite, pain, tremor, weight gain, back pain, hair loss, headache, fever, loss of appetite, constipation, blurred vision, and the list goes on and on and on. I don't want him on that medication. Now, if you feel he needs to stay on it because he's a danger to himself or others, I can understand that, because I support medication when the medication poses a less risk than what would happen without it. So if he would hurt somebody or hurt himself, then fine, keep him on the medication. But what I'm picking up is personal problems and family problems that can be successfully remedied with the appropriate therapist. I think it's time to, you said a month, the new therapist with a month. So I guess you could wait it out because it is a new therapist. But I want you to consider getting another therapist to deal with the family therapy. Do y'all have family therapy as a group?
No, we don't.
Y'all need that. And I would get a different therapist. I would get a different family therapist, and y'all need to have some sessions, because that young man has a lot of pent up thoughts, ideas, emotions, frustrations that need to be dealt with. And if we can deal with that, he won't need the medication. See, I don't want him to become another casualty. One of these young men who get so angry and frustrated with life that they drop out of school, join gangs, start robbing and shooting and selling dope or whatever. I don't want him to give up on life. But I suspect that he is depressed. All of this angry behavior is nothing but depression masking itself as anger. It's a cry for help. He needs a man. He needs an adult man. Does he have an older brother, uncle, anybody that can start spending time with him?
Yeah, he has my brother-in-law, my sister's husband. He's, actually he lives with us at the moment. He's there for him. He talks to him, and at one point he did have to kind of rough him up at one point. So, he's been a, good source for him to go to when he gets upset or, have a problem, whatnot.
Mm.
Yeah.
I would get another therapist for the family.
I feel like...
Go right ahead. Go right ahead. I'm listening.
To me, it feels like the medication, I feel like I do see an improvement with the medication. His rages and outbursts there hasn't been much of lately. I'm kind of on the fence with it, but I feel like I do see some, results from it. Now, I guess my question is, as far as school goes, like I said, he's been skipping class or getting in trouble for being late. And, basically I felt like this whole month he's just been on suspension from school. So how can in your view...
Now, wait a minute. When you say, not to cut you off, Queen, when you say he's been suspended from school all month, you don't mean that literally, do you? Because you can only suspend a child 10 days at a time. Now, you can suspend him for 10. He could come back for a couple of days. You can send him out on another 10. But in order for a child to be suspended from school more than 10 days at a time, that's called a temporary expulsion. And that can only be done by the local school board. A principal cannot suspend a child for more than 10 days. So when you say he's been suspended all month, are you saying that literally? Or are you saying that he's been suspended 3 days here, 2 days here, 5 days here? I just want to clarify.
Right, yeah, so like 3 days there, 2 days there. So a lot of it's been like in-school suspension.
What is he being suspended for? What are the behaviors? What are the behaviors that he's being suspended for? Is he fighting? What's going on?
Well, a lot of it, he was getting referrals from the teachers. I guess, disrupting class, out, a couple times. So he got referrals. So he would get like 1 or 2 days in school suspension. Then he did get into a fight with another student. So they gave him, I think it was 3 days out of school suspension. Then he had skipped class. He skipped like 5 periods. And so one of the teachers referred him. So he got a 1-day out of school suspension. But then he's been late to class 5 times. So they have a rule if you're late more than 5 times or 5 or more, that they give you 3 days in school suspension. So it's been like, off and on. 2 days there, 3 days there, and whatnot. So like pretty much this whole month, he hasn't had much class instruction. He talks about, how he hates school, go to school no more. He basically wants to drop out, basically. He does have trouble, just completing classwork, things of that nature. So, he is on the IEP. He doesn't have an IEP.
Okay, that changes everything. Wait, that changes everything right there. He has an IEP. That means he's special ed. That means, now I want you to hear this. I want you to hear me really well. Now that you said he has an IEP, that he's a special ed child, I got to introduce some other stuff now. Because a special ed child in the United States of America can only be suspended 10 total days out the entire school year. How many days? Well, the school year just started. But how many days would you say he's been suspended? That means in school and out of school. In school and out of school. They all count together. In school suspension is still considered a suspension day. How many total suspension days has your son had since this current school year has started?
Yeah, I would probably say it probably is about 10 or more.
But then guess what? Then guess what? What you're telling me is the school has broke the law. They have suspended your child more than 10 days, which is evidence to the fact that they cannot properly provide for your son's needs who has an IEP. That means it's time for you to write a letter to the principal requesting an IEP meeting to discuss your son's placement and program. The IEP team has 3 responsibilities, Queen. 3 responsibilities. The first one is to create the learning program that your son needs to learn. The second one is to decide where your son will receive his special ed help. The third one is to monitor the progress to make sure your son is benefiting from special ed. I believe that you have enough ammunition against the school to force them to pay for your son to go to a private school. The law says that if you can prove as the parent that the school has not been properly educating your child, that school now becomes obligated to pay for your son to get his education at a private school. They clearly don't want to be bothered with him. They clearly don't want him there, which is fine by us. Pay for him to go to a private school. It's time for you to exercise your rights as a parent of a special ed student. That's what you need to do on the school side. On the family side, y'all need to start that family therapy. And we might need another therapist for him as well. But on the school side, they have broke the law. They have broke the law. They are required to give your son a functional behavioral assessment and positive behavior plan to address his behavior. It doesn't sound like they've done that. And then they're overly suspending him, which means they're denying him his right to an education, which you cannot do more than 10 days out the school year. And you're telling me that your son has only been in school for a month and they've already exceeded 10 days? School has only been in session for not even a month, and you're telling me your son has been removed from his classroom for 10 days. This is a serious breach of the law. You have a case against them, and it's time for you to start exercising your rights. That's what you need to do right now.
So you're saying write a letter to the principal?
Requesting an IEP meeting. Requesting an IEP meeting to discuss your son's program. He obviously ain't learning anything. And his placement, they obviously don't want him in the school. And his progress, how he ever going to learn if he never in school to learn? You see that? The 3 P's. The IEP team has 3 responsibilities. Program, what he going to learn. Placement, where he going to learn it. Progress, making sure he's learning. You're telling me that the program ain't no good. The placement obviously ain't no good because they never leave him in school. So the regular public school can no longer be the placement. It's time for a private school. Though that conversation must be with the IEP team. And you need to request that by writing a letter to the principal, and you need to go to that meeting and say, I believe that this school cannot meet my son's needs. And the law says if y'all cannot meet his needs, y'all must pay for a school where his needs can be met. Y'all have suspended my son 10 days and he ain't even been to school 30 days yet. The first month of school, y'all done already exhausted 10 days. I'm here to request a private school for my son because I don't believe this school can meet his needs. And they're probably going to say, no, we don't approve your request. That's not a problem. Then you're going to go to the State Department of Education. What city you in? Where you at?
I'm outside of Atlanta.
Okay, Georgia. You're going to go to the Georgia State Department of Education website. You're going to get the phone number to Special Education Disputes or Dispute Resolution, and you're going to call the State Department of Education, and you're going to say, I would like to file a due process complaint against my son's school district. He has a disability, and the school is not properly addressing his behavior issues. And you're going to fill out a complaint, or they're going to take it by phone, and they're going to send a hearing officer out to your son's school. They're going to investigate. They're going to interview you. They're going to interview the school. And then there's going to be a hearing. You're going to be on one side, and the school going to be on the other side, just like a courtroom. But there's not enough judges to hear all the special ed cases, so they empower regular citizens with the authority of a judge to make decisions in special ed issues. It's called a special ed due process hearing. You're going to get a special ed due process hearing, and they're going to hear your argument, why you want your child to go to a private school at public expense, and then they're going to hear the school's argument, why they feel your child needs to stay where he is, and then they're going to decide either against you or for you. It's time for you to fight for your son. But I will say this. You have to make sure that you have dotted your I's and crossed your T's. Because if that school says we've been trying to work with the mom and the mom don't come up, or we can't reach the mom, or the mom don't care, or she ghetto, or she hood, or they're going to try to blame you for these problems. So you need to make sure that you on your game. You need to make sure that you on your game. What is his special ed disability? Why is he in special ed in the first place? What is his disability?
For that ADHD, well, pretty much for the ADHD.
So he's in special ed for ADHD, which means he's in special ed for other health impairment, because ADHD is not a special ed disability. ADHD is a mental disorder, but you can qualify for special ed with a mental disorder if it adversely affects your educational progress. So he's in special ed for ADHD, which is even more of a problem for me. You know why? Because ADHD don't affect learning. First of all, it don't exist. But even for people who do believe it exists, it does not affect your ability to learn. So now your son is being put in special ed for a problem that isn't even related to learning, which tells me your son is not learning, because he's probably smarter than most of them kids in there. He don't need to be in special ed. He needs to be in the regular classroom, which brings another idea to mind that I want you to consider. And that is whether or not your son should have a 504 accommodation plan instead of an IEP. Have you ever heard of a 504 plan?
I've heard of it. I don't know the difference between the 504.
I'm going to tell you the difference right now. You have IEP versus 504. The IEP is a learning program that children with disabilities receive. So when you have an IEP, you are in special ed. You are given a dumbed down curriculum because probably a mother or father of yours was dumb enough to sign off on paperwork saying that you needed a dumbed down curriculum, not to be harsh. But you get a dumbed down curriculum because it's believed that you can't keep up in the regular classroom. So an IEP equals dumbed down curriculum.
Not to cut you off, Dr. Umar, but he is in the regular classroom. I mean, he don't want to leave the class or go to any other class. He's always been in the regular classroom.
So here's my next question.
They just have
Well, let me finish this difference, and then I got a question for you on that point you just gave. So IEP is special ed. 504 is civil rights law. IEP is for kids with disabilities. 504 is for kids with any problem that can affect their adjustment and ability to function in school. IEP is about learning in school. 504 is about functioning in school. IEP is about learning in school. 504 is about functioning in school. You see, so to get an IEP, you have a disability in special ed. To get a 504, you have some sort of a disability, but it doesn't have to be special ed. With a 504 plan is accommodations. IEP is modification. With an IEP, you modify the learning. With a 504, you don't modify the learning. The child stays in the regular class, but you provide the child with accommodations, extra time to take his tests, tutoring, one-to-one aid, behavior plan, regular breaks from the classroom. You get accommodations. And I want you to know the difference. 504, we just want to give him things, supports, so he can function. He's not going to special ed. He's not getting a dumbed down curriculum. He's staying in the regular class. We're just going to give him supports. But with the IEP, we're going to dumb down the learning and change the curriculum. So what you have to decide, does my son need a dumbed down curriculum, or does he just need accommodations? Because if all your son needs is accommodations, he shouldn't even have an IEP. He should have a 504. And the fact that you just told me that he doesn't even go to a special ed class, if he doesn't go to a special ed class, he don't need an IEP. He needs a 504.
Well, I mean, now that you say that, I mean, it kind of sounds like he does have a 504, but they're calling it IEP because they do give him accommodations. They give him...
Well, you can get accommodations on an IEP. You can get accommodations on an IEP, but an IEP is not principally about accommodations. An IEP is principally about instructional modification to the curriculum for kids who can't learn as well as others. An IEP is about instructional modifications to the curriculum for children who cannot learn as well as other children. Does your son need instructional modifications to the regular ed curriculum because he can't learn as well as the others? Because if he don't need that, then he should not have an IEP. He should have a 504 only.
Okay. Well...
Your next step is to write a letter. Your next step... But the point, okay, here's what I'm telling you though. The school is obligated by the federal government. The school is obligated by the federal government to address your son's behavior problems. That is the law. If they're not doing that, they have to pay for him to go to a school where they can be addressed. But here's the thing I need to say to you, Queen. You cannot be intimidated by that school. If you cannot get justice for your son, if you're intimidated by the white folks. You cannot get justice for your son if you are intimidated. You have to take the fight to them. And you need to take the fight to them with more than just yourself. You need to take somebody with you. Don't go to that school by yourself no more. Because I hear you. You feel tired. You feel frustrated. You're checking out. And I'm telling you, you got to check in or your son going to check out. You have to check in or your son going to check out. So here's the next thing you're going to do. You're going to draft a letter to the principal that you're going to email to me and I'm going to read it. That's your next thing we're going to do this step by step because you're frustrated. So I don't want to give you too much. Step by step. Okay. Write the letter, send it to Dr. Umar. Dr. Umar going to review the letter and you're going to give it I'm going to walk you through this whole thing. But the first thing is your letter. Take my cell number so you can text me once your letter is ready.
Okay. I think I wrote it down. 215-989-95.
Exactly. Get that letter done, and you need to get that letter done this week. We don't want to play around. Get right on it. Once it's done, you're going to call me. Dr. Umar got the letter done, and I'm either going to have you read it to me on the phone, or I'm going to have you email it to me, and I'll tell you where you need to make changes to the letter. Need to be strong. Letter need to be strong.
Okay, so basically you talk about, requesting the IEP.
Yes, to discuss your problem. Put your concerns in there as you would put them. My son has been getting suspended too much. He's being denied his education. Put your experience in that letter. And you're going to put that I don't believe y'all can meet his needs. And I believe he will be best served at an approved private school. And the law says if y'all can't meet his needs, y'all have to pay for that school. And I want to discuss this at the IEP meeting.
Okay. Where can I look up that law as far as...
You can Google it. I'm sure you can find 504 plan online. You can find IEP. I'm an expert in this field, so I know it like the back of my hand because this is what I've been doing for the past 20 years. But you can Google it and find it.
Okay. Thank you for that. I'll get on that.
Will do.
All right. Have a good one.
You too now. All right, we got 15 minutes left. 15 minutes left. Do we have another question on the call this morning?
Well, yeah. This is Charles. I go by Olu.
From where? From where, brother? From where?
I'm from Los Angeles.
Go right ahead.
And so I have a situation where, so I'm a Pan-Africanist, and my family members know that, and I have a lot of coons in my family, and my mother actually been trying to, break up the family, and she succeeded finally by talking to my wife. Well, I've been with her for 12 years, and she started telling her all kind of lies and causing a lot of disruption and giving the kids candy and doing all kind of crazy stuff, a long list of crazy stuff, right? I'm trying to be brief. And so the police came, and she had got a cabal of people, her cohorts, her family members, and her friends to make phone calls against me. So with just the phone calls, and they said all kind of lies and crazy stuff, I have the reports and everything. I looked through the reports, and it's all lies. It's all, I can send you the paperwork. It's all lies. And so the police came in, and I managed to evade them or send them away 4 times. And then finally on the 5th time, when I went to court, after the courtroom, I had went to jail off of some unpaid tickets, and I went to jail for 2 days, right? And they released me early because they know I'm not like a criminal type of dude in jail and everything. So the police was very nice. So they let me out on Monday, and they thought I was gone for like 3 months. And so they managed to take the children off of that, and so I was very frustrated for like 3 months. Man, and it's been like really crazy. They took my boys, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do right now. But, I just need advice. I need like a lawyer. I need somebody out here in Los Angeles I can work with, because I'm very capable. I just need to know more about the law. So I discovered that CPS is a very criminal organization. They take children out here. It's crazy. So I want to start an organization. I want to and also support you. Anything I can do, to support Frederick Douglass, Marcus Garvey Academy.
I got you. I can't remember offhand. You know what? I do know a brother in LA who works with fathers with issues with the children. And I know that's not the sum total of your challenge, but I'm pretty sure he can probably help you or point you in a direction that can get you some help with this. You have my cell number?
Yes.
Okay. Text me Monday. Because if you text me today, I'm going to forget about it because of the event in Nashville. Text me Monday. I'll be back in Philly. And I'm going to text you that brother's information. Just remind me you're the brother out there who needs some legal help with a family situation.
Okay.
And I'm going to send you a couple contacts.
Okay. Word.
All right, we on that, brother. Stay positive, too. They beating us all down, brother. They beating us all down. They beating us all down. So we got to unite, and that's why I want to get this school done, brother, because we're going to have black men conference, black women conference.
I want to gather some fathers. There's a lot of stuff going on in Los Angeles. I want to gather the fathers out here, man. It's a whole thing. I want to build.
No doubt. In fact, I love to come out there and do a black fatherhood conference. You know what I mean? We just got to find a place to do it at, a place that could hold about 400 or 500 fathers. You know what I mean? Maybe me and you could work on that.
I'll work on that. Yeah, I'll be in contact with you because it's a lot.
Will do, brother. Let's talk soon.
All right. Appreciate you.
Gotcha. No doubt.
Peace.
All right now. Peace and love.
Right.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Do we have another question on the call this morning? We're down to our final 10 minutes. Do we have another question?
Hello, Dr. Umar.
Peace and love, gorgeous. Where you calling from?
Connecticut.
Connecticut. Where out in Connecticut?
Hartford.
Hartford. I'm going to be speaking in Bridgeport on Saturday, next Saturday the 14th. I hope you can make it out.
Yeah, I hope
so too. You were coming right in Hartford a couple months ago, but you had to cancel.
Yeah.
That was the point.
I'm going to make it up, though, at some point. I'm going to definitely make that up.
Okay. Well, listen, this question is in regards to my 13-year-old son.
Yes.
I guess, just let me give you some background on him, I guess. I'll start here. He acts out, not in school, but at home. He has very, violent episodes where he just destroys property in the house. He'll threaten to run away. And sometimes he'll threaten to kill me and his siblings.
Your 13-year-old son has threatened to kill you?
Yes.
Okay.
Now,
you might not get through because there's only 8 minutes left. But when you come here, I'll make sure we go see him, okay?
Mute your phone, Queen. Mute your phone. Mute your phone. Mute your phone, please.
You're going to be an activist anyway, humanitarian. That's what you're going to be.
Mute your phone.
All your speeches always say how you care for your friends and people.
I guess you can't hear.
Mute your phone, Queen. Mute your phone. Mute your phone. Go right ahead, sister.
Okay. So, the thing about his episodes is they're very sporadic. For about a month now, he's been fine. He's been the star child. But, if something doesn't go his way, or if I'm hard on discipline, if I really stay consistent, then he'll just have these outbursts to where he's very disrespectful. He just destroys property. He puts holes in the wall.
Where's his biological father?
His biological father is around, and in fact, now more than ever, he's been spending more time with him.
Is there a reason why he can't go live with him for a while?
Well, it's that age-old, where the mother, which is me, doesn't really so-called approve of the lifestyle.
Why not? Why not? What is he doing that you feel would be a detriment to your son?
I feel that he lives a lifestyle of that can be potentially dangerous. He lives with roommates. They, not to say that, marijuana is the baddest thing, but, they dip and dab in that lifestyle. He has affiliation with groups that I don't approve of. I think it's very unhealthy, and I think that will be dangerous. I think that my son would have access to a lot of things that would, at his maturity level right now would be, dangerous to his upbringing.
Okay.
So,
gotcha. Where is anger coming from? This has a source. Where's this anger coming from? What happened?
I don't know.
You don't know? Because for your son to threaten your life, for him to be doing damage to furniture, something major happened. That anger didn't come out of nowhere. And it could be 1,000,001 things. It could be the way you and father broke up. It could be because of what father told him. It could be because you kept him from the dad. It could be because you don't spend time with him. It could be because he think you treat other siblings better. It could be because of physical abuse, verbal abuse, sexual abuse. Something happened for him to be. No 13-year-old threatens their mother's life. That is serious. That is dead serious. And even though he's been having a good month, I'm not comfortable with this. I am not comfortable with this, Queen. No. We got to find out what is the function of this behavior.
If I think about it, Dr. Umar, if I really think about it, he's been having these episodes for years. Even when he was in the 2nd grade, it wasn't as much back then. It was maybe once a year he would go off and cut up.
So do you know what you're telling me then? What you're telling me then is we have allowed this to grow out of control. So from 2nd grade until now, this behavior and habit has been reinforced by us because we really didn't handle it back then. So this is just the natural growth of a small problem into a big problem because it was never checked at that time. We now have to check it because your son will soon be large enough where he can actually hurt you. I mean, I hope it's just verbal, but for it to have gone on this long, I think there's a little bit more energy behind this. I don't think he's just selling wolf tickets. So we have to find out what happened back in second grade. Did he threaten your safety in second grade as well?
No, he would just destroy property.
But he would destroy property in the second grade.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it was very, like, it wasn't like, it would happen like once a month. It wasn't something that I had.
It don't matter if it happened once a year. That I don't care if it happened once a year. You don't destroy property. That's major. That is anger. That is rage. I mean, did he ever live with anybody else in the family or something? He always been with you?
No, he always been with me.
Did you spend a lot of time with him as a youth, or was he kind of shuffled around to different people in different daycares?
I think maybe around third grade, I had gotten into a relationship that kind of, it took a lot of my time and energy. Well, I allowed it to take a lot of my time and energy. But
how long was you in it? How long?
Left it. I was in that relationship for 8 years.
When did that relationship end?
That relationship ended a couple years ago.
How many years ago?
About 2 years ago.
So you've been out of it for 2, but you was in it for 8. How old is your son now?
He's 13 now.
He's 13. So you started that relationship when he was about 4, did you say? 3? Yeah. About 4, and you ended it when he was 11?
11.
Did you and the man live together?
No.
Okay, but he was there a lot. He knew your son and your son knew him.
Yes.
Okay, that's probably the problem. He's angry at you because he believed you put your significant other before him. How did your significant other treat him? Was he mean or dismissive towards your son?
No, not necessarily.
But there was something that wasn't right there. What didn't your son like about that man?
It was something that wasn't right. I think both of my children, because I also have a daughter, but they both, I do feel like I neglected them at that time in the relationship because I was always wanting to be with that person. That person
yes.
was always taking me away.
Yes.
That thing is buying me my time. And I think I did neglect them in a way, but I also gave them everything.
Giving don't mean nothing. Children need time, not gifts. They don't care about no gifts. It's okay. You made a mistake. We make them. You now have to fix it. And that means that it's going to start by apologizing to them for what happened. And you're going to have to start spending time with them. He's angry and hurt. Your son is really depressed. That anger is a mask for his depression. So y'all need to go to therapy. You and your son need therapy alone. You and your daughter need therapy alone. And all 3 of y'all need therapy together. He's hurting from that. Those 8 years, he feel that you robbed him of y'all relationship for another man. The good news is you can fix it. The good news is you can fix it. Get a therapist and sit down and talk and tell your son. He was in counseling, but y'all wasn't in counseling. This ain't about him. It's about y'all. You and him. You and him. So that's what you need to do. You can fix it, though. You can fix this. That's the good news. You can fix it. He needs counseling, and then y'all need counseling together.
All right, I hear you.
You feel me? Get right on it, too. Get right on it. Now, even though you know that you are partially to blame for this, you can't let him get away with doing whatever he wants either. You follow what I'm saying? So you still got to stick to the discipline, but get that counseling. Get on that ASAP. Get you a black counselor, preferably a man.
Okay.
Preferably a man. And he needs his own counselor, too. He needs a separate one. So you basically got 4 different counselings going on. It might not be 4 different counselors, but you got your daughter need counseling by herself. Your son need counseling by himself. Y'all need counseling as a family.